Alright, we're gonna have to just deal with the vertical camera. Sorry. And there's not a car that you see me in, and I am not driving. It's all in your imagination. But it's gonna be a little bit of a rambler. People have gone nuts. I just saw a guy checking his air pressure wearing a mask in his tires. Well, checking the air pressure in his tires wearing a mask. I don't know what to do. If people don't realize that they're being lied to by now, they're either willfully ignorant or they never will realize, because it's blatant at this point. It's absolutely blatant. And part of the issue with this is the fact that the longer this goes on, and the more they keep complying, and not only complying, but promoting restrictions, and I'm talking about the general public that is doing so, the more they agree with this and show their support and condemn those who can see the truth, the harder it's going to be in the long run for them to come around, if they ever will. I guarantee you that there's a whole section of society that realizes that mandates are terrible, that face diapers are dehumanizing when they're mandated. I mean, you can wear one if you want, but that all of that is just wrong. But their ego won't let them admit it. That's evil. What we're dealing with now is straight up evil. And people say, oh, don't compare it to Nazi Germany. Don't do that. That's disrespectful. No, that's being conscious and respecting our history. That's the epitome of respect for their stories. Unless we heed the lessons that we learned in the 30s and 40s, we are going to be destined to repeat it. And it's not like it happened overnight. Man, these people think that everything went from, utopia to people getting loaded onto trains. That's not how it happened. It was a progression, and that's how tyranny always happens, is a progression. And that's because people would see it if it wasn't a slow progression. People can't see it now, and never can, because they're so caught up in their own lives that, okay, so what? It was 20 years ago now or so, almost, whatever. I think it was 2003, the Patriot Act was enacted. And people forgot about it. People's cultural memory is just abysmal. We don't remember what happened 5 years ago, let alone 20, let alone 70, 80, 100. Nobody cares. And that allows history to be rewritten. It only takes a generation and, publishing new books and new information that's inaccurate. That's all it takes to fool an entire society. What's happened now is people are panicking inside. If you look at people who are on social media bragging about, promoting their second booster seat, lying in order to get them. Look at their eyes. Look at the pictures they post. Their eyes are not those of a healthy, happy individual. That's not somebody who is engaged in the pursuit of happiness. That's somebody that's engaged in the pursuit of death. And that's somebody that knows that they're being lied to, but can't place it. They can't place it. They become so accustomed to, since polio. to trust VAXXs. And that wasn't even, oh man, polio was the VAXX was a problem too. Like, think of how many issues that's caused for kids in Africa and other areas. We fucked over a whole generation of test subjects. We used humans as test subjects, and what are we doing now? We're using humans as test subjects, and they know it. Like, they being the people that are signing up to be the test subjects, they know that they're test subjects, and they blame others because we don't want to be test subjects. That's the epitome of insanity. Like, there's no arguing with that. You can't argue with somebody that's that far gone because they know they're wrong, but they'll keep arguing it. That is the hill, valley, canyon. That is the canyon that they will die in. The only solution to the issues we're facing right now is non-compliance. You cannot comply your way out of tyranny. It's never worked. It never will work. Yet. At the same time, okay, so let me set this up a little better. The president somewhat recently made a veiled threat that, if we decided to take it to the streets, so to speak, there would be no point because they have bigger sticks. Historically, it's not the side with bigger sticks that wins. It's the side with more fight. It's the Bravehearts. It's the Vietnamese. It's I hate to say it, but it's the Afghanis, man. It's the Taliban. They won because they had the long fight, because they had the fight in them. If we just stop complying, they starve. We hold every single card. I think I've said that before. People are so afraid of the ruling class, but that's an illusion. They're terrified of us. They know that they're propped up using our labor and our dollars and our fear and our weakness. And our gluttony and our comfort. They use our comfort and our needs and our wants against us. And my parents, for instance, they raced right out and got the vacuum cleaner because my dad even said the words, "We don't want to have to give up our lifestyle." That's America. We don't want to have to give up our lifestyle. That's pathetic. And we ought to be ashamed of ourselves. That's death to our kids. Even if we had a utopia right now, that kind of attitude is death to a generation down the road somewhere. Because if you don't want to give up your comforts, that's saying that your creature comforts matter more than, especially for those that are parents, they matter more than what's coming down the line for your kids. Shame on those people. Just stop. Just stop. Tell people no. Learn the word no. Learn how to stand up for yourself. It's really not hard. It's quite freeing, in fact. If somebody asks you to do something that you don't believe in, do not do it. No salary is worth selling out your values, okay? That's straight up coercion. And don't forget, that violates the Nuremberg Code. You can't coerce somebody into taking an experimental medication. That's internationally banned. We know that. And people will argue that no, it doesn't really violate it. Here, look at this, this, and this. This is why it doesn't violate. Okay, I don't give a shit. If we even have to have this discussion, we're screwed. Well, why are we even having this talk? Don't argue that, oh, it's close, but it's no cigar. Man, you don't realize that it's close until it becomes, okay? Do you think that they're just going to give rights back? No, they've convinced you that they're privileges, and they've taken them away, and just like the Patriot Act, to bring it back to that people forgot about it, so they just signed it back in, or, continued it. Like a fucking magazine subscription, man. This is bad news. Y'all gotta wake up. Stop fucking living in your phones. Stop caring about Botox and worshiping yourselves. You're just engaging in death. You don't even see it, man. Look, there's a lady walking to her car. Of course, she's obese, with a mask on. Why? Why? It just doesn't make any sense. There's no logic behind it. The masks don't even stop the particles they're trying to, and they know that. But it doesn't matter. They'll say, well, I have to wear one. Why don't you? Because I don't. I don't. You don't. You don't have to wear one. All the control they have over you is solidly right up here. You're a free person just like every other person in this world. It's all a mental construct. What power do they have other than that over people's minds? In order to gain the power that they have to send you to 15,000 hours of indoctrination. And they call that education. It's really interesting to look at the different, whatever the word is, the different groups of people who are more subjective to indoctrination. So you got the lowest educated, like high school dropouts, with also the lowest level of indoctrination. So they don't trust the vacuum cleaners and stuff. And then you've got bachelors, and they're very trustworthy of the system. And then you got masters, I think was more trustworthy or more trusting of the system than bachelors. But then you've got doctorate and research level. Man, they're just right around. It's probably like this. They're right around high school dropouts because they've been taught how to think. And high school dropouts haven't been taught how not to think. Think about it, man. So, I sounded dumb. It's not about, this isn't a matter of education. This is a matter of being able to see whether you're being lied to or not. This is a matter of whether or not you trust people that you have no reason to trust. It's the same establishment that has committed atrocities against its people plenty of times. As recently as the 60s, they had MK Ultra, which they experimented on people. People died because they were drugged to the point of insanity. And you think we're under different rule because the person that occupies an office changes every 4 to 8 years. Man, nothing changes. If you don't realize after this presidency, if you can call it that, the presidents don't even matter, then you're hopeless. Do you think this president is running anything? He's not. Trump at least tried to run something. I'm no Trump supporter, but he wasn't allowed to. And if the president isn't allowed to run a country, he isn't the leader of the country. Get it? This is not a government of, by, and for the people. This is a government of, by, and for nameless elites that you've never heard of. Okay? Presidents are just put there. They are selected, not elected. Start to learn it. Okay? Catch up. I'm not talking to my subscribers, obviously. I'm hoping this gets out to more people. You guys know what I'm talking about, though. This has all gone insane. The only way out of this nightmare is to just stop doing it. Stop going to the businesses that require all of these requirements. Man, I'm not good with vocabulary today. It's been a long week. As I'm sure if you saw my last video, you'd know. I got a job recently, a job. If you can stop working for other people, do it, because giving away 2/3 of your life and breaking your body to make somebody else rich, that's not the way to go. That in itself is dehumanizing when you get peanuts compared to somebody who sits in an office and collects the fruits of your labor. Makes $1 million a year, man. That's crazy. If you think any bit of this society is set up for the quote-unquote little guy, who is really the big guy collectively, man, I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, so I work at a restaurant, and I was very surprised, pleasantly so, that nobody even asked about a mask. Nobody told me to. I wasn't gonna. No job is worth selling out your values. There's always somebody else that will hire you. And I know, oh, you just work in restaurants. You know, those jobs are a dime a dozen. I have a career. You know, oh, I have a career. I have a career in children and a 401k. Okay, cool, man. You found your limit. That's where you'll sell out. That's fine. But just admit you're selling out. Okay? At least admit you're the bitch for money. You're a bitch for money, man. I'm just sick of it. No amount of money is worth selling out. If you're really making that money, haven't you got some savings that you can live off of? Can't you figure out another way to make money with your $200,000 a year salary you've been making for the last 10 years? Or do you not really have any skills? Do you not really know how to do anything? Can you not really figure out how to enterprise anything? Is that what it is? Because that's what it sounds like. Well, don't fault others then. That's all on you, man. But unfortunately, it's not all on you, because the more people that sell out, the more they realize they can just get us to sell out for money. And people who do are partaking in evil. There's no two ways about it, man. At this point, if you comply, you are signing a contract with evil. Forcing others to do something because you're afraid, and not even being willing to examine the other side. Dude, evil comes in many forms, and oftentimes it comes in the form of stupidity and ignorance. Fix yourself. For all of those of you that agree and can see and are doing what little or lot you can to affect the trend that we've been living in. Thank you. Any stance against tyranny is a revolutionary act, and up there with, the best of them, Braveheart, like I said. Keep doing that. And if you're too afraid to, start small. You don't need to run into a courthouse without a mask, but go to the store without one. Man, I see people in their cars with masks on while they're alone. Okay, you're afraid. I get it. How'd you learn how to ride a bike? You were afraid then too, right? How'd you learn how to swim? We stagnate without conquering our fear. We become weak. It's imperative that we challenge our own limits in order to grow. We become children unless we do. That's part of maturing, is realizing that you can do more than you give yourself credit for, and you can face more and handle more than you would necessarily feel comfortable to handle or face. But that's maturing. A year ago I did cocaine every day, and I was terribly afraid to quit. And I know it's not the same as being it was a fear, man. I needed some way to cope with the shit around me, and I was afraid that once that was gone, everything would crumble. But I faced that fear. After I broke my foot a few years ago, I was addicted to opioids and heroin, actually, because I couldn't get doctor's help with the pain, and I worked at a restaurant waiting tables on a broken foot and ankle. And so for about a year I was addicted to heroin, and I thought I would die if I quit. And I didn't really have much support. I was married at the time. Didn't have much support. But I quit. I quit cold turkey. That was the most frightening thing I've ever done. And I did 2 weeks without sleep. Not one wink. And at the end of the 2 weeks, I had a grand mal seizure. And then it was over. I faced hell. I think too many people live in a bubble. They've been so coddled, comforted with their egos and their emotions and their creature comforts just provided and stroked, that anything that even threatens their state of being causes them visceral fear. Look at these people that wear double masks with a face shield, and look at them. Look at their eyes, going back to that eye thing. They're terrified. They're abused animals. If you've ever seen an abused animal in a cage, that's the same look. We are not abused animals. Stop being afraid. It will do you no good. All it does is make you easy to control. A population that lives in constant fear is just begging to be controlled, because there's always somebody that's there to tell them they have the solution. It's problem, reaction, solution. It's been that way forever. I don't know how long, but a long, long time. All of my life, at least. They create a problem. We have a reaction. They know the reaction that we're going to have because they geared that problem to cause that reaction. Man, this is so well thought out. And then they already have the solution. Look at Event 201. They already had the solution, and then they created the problem right after they held that event. After we had the exact reaction that they thought we would. Stop being stupid. Stop it. Have a good one.